Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about My Best Friend is a Vampire. So this was a first time watch for me. I've heard about this movie. Uh, I've seen clips of it on the internet, and I've always thought, hey, this seems like a interesting movie. I'm a huge 80s movie fan. I love vampire movies, and I love a good, you know, teen comedy, especially like an 80s teen comedy. So that's what this movie is. It's more of it's like a blend between a lighthearted 80s teen comedy, teen coming of age movie with some little vampire horror elements sprinkled in. So it has like a lighter tone, it has some charm to it, and I don't know. This was right up my alley cuz like I said, I'm a fan of those, the 80s teen movies, and I'm a fan of, horror movies, vampire movies. So this was right up my alley. Perfect blend of some genres that I love, and I feel like it was done well here. So yeah, my overall opinion of My Best Friend is a Vampire is that this movie was pretty darn good. So jumping into jumping into the plot summary, the movie follows this kid named Jeremy, and he like hangs with his best friend all the time. His best friend is Ralph, and Jeremy has a crush on this one girl, Darla, and according to Ralph, she's not like traditionally hot. Like she's kind of like got an alternative look. He's like, why don't you get with this chick or this chick? He's like, Ralph keeps pushing Jeremy to have like a one night stand, but Jeremy's kind of more like a sensitive guy, and he's crushing on this girl, so he's just always staring at her. He wants her. But anyways, he's working one night. He has to deliver groceries, and he typically delivers groceries to old crusters, like, 86, 97-year-old women with dentures, and he doesn't, when he's doing these grocery deliveries, it's very rare that he gets like a beautiful woman. But anyways, he it turns out he gets to deliver groceries to this beautiful woman, and she comes on to him pretty strong. So Ralph is like, yo, you gotta go back there, you gotta hook up with her. So Ralph kind of talks Jeremy into it, and then yeah, Jeremy goes back to try to hook up with this woman, and she bites him on the neck. And spoiler alert, he like the next day he starts feeling weird. He's a vampire now, and basically for the rest of the movie, he's trying to, he's got a lot of stuff going on. He's a teenager, so being a teenager is hard enough. He's going through changes as a teenager. He's also going through changes, in the sense that he's a vampire now. He's different than everyone else, so he has to like traverse life as a vampire with all these new changes and challenges. So there's this older vampire who's named Modoc, and he kind of acts as Jeremy's mentor. So he's kind of guiding him throughout the film. So Jeremy's like adapting to life as a vampire. He's also trying to, continuously pursue Darla, but since he is a vampire now, like that's causing kind of a rift in their relationship. She, of course, you know, doesn't know or like doesn't believe that he's a vampire, but just since his lifestyle has changed, that's caused like a rift in their relationship. And then basically there's this vampire hunter that is after the guys. The vampire hunter is actually mainly pursuing Ralph because he mistakenly thinks that Ralph is the vampire. So yeah, there's a lot these guys got to deal with. So Ralph's got to deal with this vampire hunter. There's this vampire hunter after them. Jeremy is, trying to figure out being a vampire and trying to figure out having a relationship. They got a lot. They got a lot on their plate. A lot going on. So that's the basic plot summary. First point I kind of already touched on, but I'm just gonna reiterate. I really like the fact that this movie blended, the the lighthearted 80s teen comedy movie with a horror movie. I really like that because I like I like so many horror comedies in general, but I'm a sucker for the 80s teen movies, especially all the John Hughes movies like Breakfast Club and Some Kind of Wonderful and Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I love all those 80s teen movies. There's something magical about them. I can't put my finger on it, but there's just they're just feel good movies, and this movie has that same vibe. It's lighthearted, it's charming, it's relatable, and it's something fun to put on. You just feel good. I watch so many dark, messed up movies, and I love those movies, but this is like a comfort movie. You can just throw this on. It's so 80s. It feels so 80s. It's just it's it comes from a good place. It's good spirited. It's not mean spirited. It's a very lighthearted, fun, charming little movie. So yeah, I really liked all that, the whole teen 80s movie vibe. I like the vampire stuff. I love vampire movies. I don't think I've really reviewed many on the channel. I don't even know if I've reviewed any vampire movies on the channel yet, but I mean, I love vampire movies. There's countless vampire movies that I love. I love the vampire subgenre. I just think vampires are cool in general. So yeah, I like the little blend. I also liked the friendship between Jeremy and Ralph. Super believable. I had buddies like that in high school where they're pushing you to I would always be into chicks like that, maybe the girls who aren't traditionally hot, they kind of got an alternative vibe going on, and my friends would be like, why are you crushing so hard on that chick? And that's what I would be doing the same thing as Jeremy, where I would just be totally crushing. It's not like I was just having little flings here and there, little hit and run excursions here and there. I would just be crushing on chicks for a long time. So I kind of related to Jeremy, and I feel like the relationship between Jeremy and Ralph was super believable. I also liked the relationship between Jeremy and Darla. They had a cute little chemistry. They had a cute little relationship. So I liked them. I don't know. They seemed believable as a couple, because they were both kind of they weren't nerds. They weren't I don't know, they weren't squares, but they weren't the super smooth, cool, super sociable, popular people. They were just kind of their own people. They were just doing their own thing. So I kind of like that they they had this nice little chemistry, and they fit well together. So yeah, I like the all the relationships, all the characters. Another random point that I want to touch on is there's this book that I read. There's a whole series of books, but there's this book that I read from this series. I forgot which one it was, but the book series, I read it in middle school, and the book series was called The Chronicles of Vladimir Todd, and it was about this kid. He's a half vampire, and it's the same. He's similar to Jeremy, where Jeremy is not out here, feeding on real people's blood. He's a vampire, but he's like a nice vampire. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He's sipping pig's blood, you know. So this book that I read, I forget. Like I said, I don't know which exact one it was in the series. I read it in middle school. So this the Chronicles of Vladimir Tod book. Vladimir Tod was the same deal. He wasn't out here hurting people. He would just, I remember he would get like blood packets and put them in his like peanut butter jelly sandwich and eat them at lunch. Like it was the same deal where he was this teenage vampire trying to like traverse through life as like, well, like I said, you know, trying to figure out being a teenager, you know, turning into an adult, and then you know, being a vampire. So yeah, I thought that book was very similar. It was also similar because Vladimir Tod's best friend also like knew he was a vampire, and he was like one of the only people who knew. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that book. I read it in middle school, and it randomly popped in my head when I was watching this, and I was like, wow, like that I don't know. Maybe the author was inspired by this movie. Maybe they never saw it. I don't know. But it was a very similar concept. So I thought that was you know, worth mentioning. Another this is like a random point. But I mean that's what I do. I come on here, I freestyle these videos, and I just barely talk about the movie. I think I just ramble. So anyways, I just like, I got the feeling throughout the whole movie that you know, like Darla was, even though there was like a lot of bumps in their relationship, and they would like, Darla would just like not want anything to do with Jeremy at certain points in the movie. Like she would always come back and like, and be like back on board and be like, you know what, like I still am interested in him. I still do have a crush on him too. And that's, I mean, I had the feeling, and I think like vampires are irresistible to women. I think, because here's the deal, you know. I'm not like expert with relationships or anything, but I feel like there's something to the fact that like, if you're like a little mysterious, or you're a little bit weird, not too weird, but like weird in a cool way and kind of exciting or interesting, like there's something about that where, you know, like if it's almost like if you only know like a little bit about someone, you kind of like come up with this cool story in your head, or you're just like, you want to learn more, and it's almost like, you know, you want what you can't have. Like the people who are so like unattainable and mysterious are just attractive. It could go both ways. It could be both the genders. Like a guy who's mysterious could be attractive to whoever. Same with like a woman. Like it's not just like guys, but just in general. Like I think vampires are just irresistible. Like that's the thing. Like the movie What We Do in the Shadows. That's a good vampire movie. There's this one guy who he gets turned into a vampire later on, and he just exploits the heck out of it. He's just like at the bar every night telling girls that he's a vampire. He's like, yo, you know the guy in Twilight, the main guy? That's me. Which I would definitely do that if I became a vampire. I would use, you know how they say like great power comes with great responsibility. I mean, just Uncle Ben says that in Spider-Man, but I mean, you know, it's a great quote. But anyways, I would use, you know, I would just exploit the fact that I'm a vampire. I would just not be responsible. I'd be irresponsible. I would just tell everyone that I'm a vampire so that I would get like, you know, clout, so that I would get I would be popping on Instagram. I'd be popping on TikTok. I'd be popping on YouTube, talking 80 million views. And I would just use it to, to get with the ladies. I'd be like, I'm a vampire, and they'd be like, oh my god, oh my goodness. But yeah, I don't know. I just got that sense throughout the movie where like Darla was, even though he was talking crazy, he's like, I'm a vampire. There's a vampire hunter after me. Like she thought he was weird, but she's like, ooh, that Jeremy. He's kind of interesting. He's kind of mysterious. He's kind of exciting. He's kind of weird, but in like a cool alternative way. So yeah, I don't know. I just think vampires, they're irresistible. There's this one guy that I work with, and we always joke and say that he's a vampire because he basically he kind of dresses like Playboy Cardi. Like he wears these black baggy pants that almost look like those like goth pants that people used to wear in like the 2000s. I forgot what those are called, but he wears like these black goth pants, and he dresses like Playboy Cardi, and he wears like pentagram necklaces, and he has like pentagrams on his shoelaces and stuff like that. And we always just joke and we say that he's like a vampire, and I'm always like, yo bro, can you bite me? Like I'm trying to join the club. I'm trying to be a vampire so I could get like mad ladies. Like I don't really have game like that right now, like my opening line, like when I go to, I was joking about that yesterday too with my coworker. I'm like, yeah, basically whenever I try to holler at women, my opening line is, I'm like, hey, do you like vampire movies? Like I was just like fooling, but yeah, basically I always joke with my coworker, and I'm like, yo man, because we always say he's a vampire. I'm like, yo bro, you gotta bite me, man. I'm trying to like get some ladies. Like everyone knows vampires love ladies. Anyways, that was kind of off topic, but I was talking about like vampires and my coworker being a vampire yesterday, so it was fresh in my head. And then I watched this vampire movie, so I got vampires on my mind. Like pretty much 90% of the day, I'm thinking about vampires. So, the main point, I know I went off on a tangent there, but the main point was, the way Darla and Jeremy's relationship was in the movie, I felt like Darla was always coming back to Jeremy because she was so intrigued by his like kind of exciting and mysterious character due to the fact that he was a vampire. And he was kind of cool. Like he threw the shades on. He had that pale look. My point is, ladies love vampires. They're irresistible. They're mysterious. That's why I'm so pale. I don't go outside because I want chicks to think I'm a vampire. Anyways, I have one more point here. I'm rambling. I gotta focus. Anyways, my next point is, there's this one scene that I really liked, and it was when Jeremy, he went to like the grocery store, and he's going to like the meat, like the fresh meat counter to get like a quart or a pint of pig's blood. And before he orders the pig's blood last. Before that, he's like, he's trying to be like nonchalant. He's trying to be like unassuming. So he's like, hey, can I get I'll get this steak. I'll get this chicken. I'll get this and that. He gets like a bunch of other meat, and then last, like real quiet, he's like, yeah, I'll take a pint of pig's blood too. And the guy working the meat counter, he's like, oh, first time, like he knows, he already knows the drill. Like anyone who gets the pig's blood, they're a vampire. So he's been serving vampires. He's hip. He knows. And I like that. There's something that I like about this movie is there's so many parallels between like a lot of the the weird, like, wacky situations that Jeremy gets into, where he's kind of figuring out life as a vampire, and he's kind of naive because he doesn't like know. It's like there's a lot of parallels to being a teenager and, you know, doing stuff that you've never done before, you know, and you don't like know anything, so you don't have like the confidence when you go about things, or you might mess stuff up, or, you know, like you're figuring it out. And there's like a lot of parallels with Jeremy figuring it out as a vampire, but he's also figuring it out as like a human being, as a teenager. You know, he's like a young adult. So I really liked all those parallels, and the reason that I mentioned this scene, I just liked the scene. It was like had some charm. It was fun, but that kind of reminded me of, maybe it was like it was kind of like almost like when, maybe if you're like a teenager and you're buying some condoms or something, you would buy a bunch of other stuff because you're embarrassed, and it's like your first time buying that, and you don't, like, you're young, you don't want the store clerk to think you're, you know, doing this and that. So it's like, oh, you know, I got my chips here, I got my magazine, I got my Advil, and oh, there's some condoms there too, you know, no big deal. Oh, I'm buying them for a friend, you know. Or like maybe if you're buying some, you know, feminine products or whatever, like, it just, I feel like there's so many parallels to, like, with a lot of the stuff that he's figuring out as a vampire could be like a symbol for, you know, just people figuring stuff out and kind of being naive and not super confident when they're a teenager. So I did like all those parallels, and I did like that scene in general. But anyways, that was the last point that I wanted to mention. So I'm gonna get into a recommendation here, and then I'm gonna peace out. So basically, I thought this movie was pretty darn good. I already mentioned all of the reasons why I thought it was pretty darn good. So I would absolutely recommend it. It's free on Tubi right now. So, you know what? If you have a Tubi account, definitely check out My Best Friend is a Vampire for free. It's a solid movie. So, yeah. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But anyways, that has been my recommendation, and that has been my review of My Best Friend is a Vampire. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.